Okay, so hello, good evening. Um, I will be doing a breakdown on Jacob's Ladder and the Nightmare on Elm. The things that I want to point out in the film were who were the guides throughout the hallucinations or dreams or moments of unconsciousness before the main characters actually got to the end of the film. So in Jacob's, actually, I'm gonna start with Nightmare on Elm because I did not like this movie that much. Um, I used to be scared of it when I was younger, and I never wanted to watch it because I just thought it was so scary. And then I watch it, and I'm like, it was not that scary. And I think that's probably why I'm mad and didn't like it because I spent all those years wasting my time being afraid. But I digress. Okay, so in the Nightmare on Elm Street, I feel like the mother was the guide. Maybe not to all the main characters, but definitely to the main character of, or well, her daughter who went to the high school, who whose dad was the police officer. I forgot her name. Um, but I believe the mother was the guide. However, she didn't do her any justice. So by this, I mean she knew what was going on with her daughter the whole time, but she kept trying to, act oblivious, like she didn't know what was going on, deny the things that her daughter would try to ask her, like, hey, this guy doesn't, oh no, you're fine, go ahead and get some sleep type thing. Um, and then she tried to cover up the truth at some point in the movie by taking her to like the sleep clinic, um, which to me was just her trying to force her to sleep rather than deal with the problem. So later on, we see they deal with the problem, and her mom tells her, he's dead. I killed him. Here goes his glove, so you could sleep. So now we're like, oh, okay. Well, she took care of the guy, so that's why, she's like, go ahead and get some sleep. You're fine. Nothing will happen to you. And then what confuses me, because I'm not really sure what this means, but it definitely put the mother in a very evil spot for me, because the very end clip or scene is the mom walking or saying, sending her off to school or whatnot. And then she walks out the door, the little girl hops into this car, and then the hood comes down and it's the shirt pattern of Freddy Krueger. And then you kind of see they show back to the mom, and the mom's kind of smiling. And then Freddy Krueger like drags her in the house. So I don't know if that means like eventually the mom got the little girl to go to sleep and he still got her, or it was confusing for me to understand what had happened there. But one thing I was for sure about was that the mom did not protect her daughter. And that's why I say that she knew what was going on. And for that reason of her knowing what was going on, she's kind of a guide. She knew what was going on the whole movie. She knew why it was happening. She knew who was doing it. And she was the person that the daughter kept coming to and asking for help. But she didn't do her justice because she didn't help her. And at the end, she's probably the reason she still got killed. So, yeah. In Jacob's Ladder, I felt like there were two guides actually. One was the chiropractor, and the other was the girlfriend. Now, as I was writing my notes, I realized that they kind of played also a thing on good and evil. But I didn't realize till I was, jotting down to the end of my notes on this thing. I'm like, hey, and it just clicked, but whatever. So we're just going to go sticking to my focus here, of them being a guide. I felt like the chiropractor um, always answered Jacob's questions and made him feel comfortable. He didn't really have a lot of aggravated feelings or wasn't as agitated when he got to see them. In essence, the chiropractor was always making him feel better physically. He was always lining them back up or putting them back in the right place. In a physical sense, but he was also doing it figuratively just by like thinking little key things like, hey, I talked to your wife, she still loves you. And I feel like that wasn't, at first you feel like, oh, well, he's trying to get them back together, But then later on, once you see the end of the movie and you realize he actually does die and goes with his son to what we think is heaven, you see that the doctor was trying to, or the chiropractor was kind of, I feel like, trying to put forgiveness in those spots that there wasn't any yet. Maybe soften the heart where it was hard, so that way when he got to his crossover, he was actually able to do that. I believe that the chiropractor tried to keep his focus on what was important so that he could let go of those things, as far as like his health, his family. And I feel like he knew the whole time that Jacob was actually dying. The girlfriend, I also feel like, I don't feel like she knew he was dying, per se, as far as trying to keep it away from him. I felt like, those two, when Jacob came in, when he was unconscious the whole time and they're trying to bring him back to life this entire movie, I feel like it was a fight between good and evil. That's why I said that kind of clicked to me at the end on which side he was going to go to, because it started off with him with the girlfriend and he was always seeing demons. So maybe that was, the chiropractor was good, and like I said, the girlfriend was evil. She still knew what was going on. She didn't really act oblivious. She was just like really against a lot of some of the things, like when he would bring up his wife, threw away his pictures, didn't want him to go meet up with the army guys to figure out what was going on. Like, she was just very against anything of helping him figure out what was going on. Not that I don't think she didn't want him to know, but if he knew, then he knew that there was also another choice out there, and that it most likely wouldn't be her or, the demons he thought he was seeing. I don't know. So she was definitely playing a block, and him figuring out what was going on with him. Another, even though they weren't playing as tough as a role as the chiropractor and the girlfriend did, but another kind of guide, in Jacob's Ladder were the two guys that were actually saving his life. And the guy who blew up in the car earlier that was talking to Jacob saying he saw the demons too, I believe he was another soldier that was with him that was dying. When his car blew up, he actually went back to being alive because he died there. And it was supposed to be the two guys that you see at the very end that are saving Jacob's life. Those were supposed to be the guys who put the bomb in the car. So I do believe they were doing the same thing with Jacob the whole time. And we see that they were trying to save his life, even though in his hallucinations, you see that they're coming and kidnapping him and all of that, when really they're trying to bring him back to the world. But maybe his soul had already decided he didn't make it back there. He ended up going with his son, Gabe. So anyway, I really like Jacob's Ladder. So I'm going to watch it again in the newer versions later on. Thank you for your time. Have a good night.